Let's talk about babies, but not in a cute, happy way, in a death way, specifically pertaining to elective abortion, which is abortion that is not medically necessary. And according to Brookings EDU, this is around 95 to 98% of abortions. That means around 2% are medically necessary to save the life of the mother. That is so many babies killed when they didn't need to be. But first, what is elective abortion? How is it performed? What makes it unethical? Well, according to the textbook, abortion was legalized in the 1973 Supreme Court decision Roe v. Wade, which gave women the right to choose to abort their fetus, meaning that any time before around 24 to 25 weeks, you can go to a clinic and have your fetus terminated, resulting in the death of the baby. The most common in-clinic abortion is vacuum suction, which is where a cannula is inserted into the vaginal opening to the uterus, and the baby is sucked out with enough force to tear its body apart. Another variety of abortion, often performed in the second trimester, which is known as D&E abortion, which stands for dilation and evacuation, is where medical forceps are inserted into the uterus, and the baby is quite literally removed in pieces. Keep in mind, according to the Georgia Department of Public Health, a fetus has a heartbeat around 5 to 6 weeks. A baby has a detectable, audible heartbeat anywhere from 5 to 6 weeks. According to Callum Miller, a doctor published on the National Library of Medicine website, babies may feel pain anytime around 14 weeks gestation, meaning that in many cases, a baby may be feeling pain during an abortion. And 68% of babies born at 24 to 25 weeks survive with medical intervention. Let that sink in for a second. But why is this unethical? Well, there are 7 good reasons as to why. 1, a fetus will eventually, in most cases, become a full-grown human being like you or me. It is not right to take that chance away from them. 2nd, science doesn't know when we gain a soul. Scientists cannot prove at what point a person gains consciousness or a soul. In that way, shouldn't it be an innocent until proven guilty situation? What gives us the right to decide when a life becomes viable? We can't. We don't have that right. Another reason, and this is religious, imago Dei, meaning all beings were made in the image of God. Not everyone is Christian. Not everyone holds this belief. However, most people do have some form of understanding of the sanctity of life. And that applies to fetuses as well. That baby is alive. It meets all the criterion of life, which I will get to in a moment. Another reason is that humans don't have the right to decide when a life is worth something. And that is a dangerous, slippery slope to go down. Because if we start justifying killing at one stage, it becomes a whole lot easier to justify it in others. That is another reason that we should not be justifying abortion in any situation other than life of the mother. And another reason, the fetus is innocent. That baby didn't ask to be made. That baby didn't choose to be conceived. That baby was conceived through sexual intercourse, whether it be, consensual, non-consensual, any cases like that. It does get complex when it is a rape case, but the baby did not commit that crime. It is not the baby's fault. Also, location and age are not determinants of worth. If someone is 95, they're still alive. We can't legally kill them. That should also apply to a fetus. Even if you can't work, if you can't feed yourself, you're still alive. Coma patients are cared for because they're human beings. It should be the same for a fetus. And back to the criterion of life. A baby fits all 6 criteria. They respond to the environment around them. In D&E abortions, you can often see a baby trying to move away from the forceps. They also kick. They respond to voices. They move around. They respond to their environment. They also use and receive energy. They receive energy through the food the mother eats and the amniotic fluid, and they use that energy to grow and develop. They are actively growing. They are also made of cells. All living things are made up of cells, and a baby is no exception. They also grow and mature and will eventually be able to reproduce in most scenarios. Not to mention how organized their body structure is. A baby's body develops the same organs and functions as you and me. It develops and it becomes alive. They can also mostly regulate their body temperature and pH level. They may need a little help in the womb, but they are still regulating their bodies. But this begs the question, what's the alternative? To have a successful abolishment of something, there needs to be a solution. Well, a couple solutions. Prevention. That is the biggest one. You can prevent a pregnancy by abstinence, or if you must have sex, protection. Protection, protection, protection. It is better to prevent an issue arising before you have to deal with it. Because suddenly, when you become pregnant, there is another life inside of you. It's not just you anymore. There are 2 people. Adoption. You can place a child up for adoption. To bring in a personal example, my little sister is adopted. Her parents loved her enough to choose life for her and to put her up for adoption. And that is how she got a loving, wonderful family with us. Every single child has that potential. We have no right to take it from them. There is also the option to parent the child. It is difficult, it is expensive, but parenting a child is always an option, and every child deserves to have a parent, no matter what the situation is. You can also find temporary guardianship while you get set up. It is possible to set up temporary guardianship for a child with a family member or the state even, while you get yourself into a home or clean or just settled. That is an option as well. There are also many family resource centers scattered around and churches that you could go to that will help provide resources during pregnancy. One near me is the Bartow Family Resource Center. They help families and pregnant women get the resources and funds they need to help life thrive. But aside from that, what can you do? What can you, a regular person, do to help prevent abortion? You can speak out. Don't be afraid to share your opinions and make sure that people understand what an abortion is. And that segues into my second point, education. People need to know exactly what an abortion is. Before someone goes to get an abortion, they need to be fully educated on what that baby feels, what that baby looks like, and what stage of development they are at in the womb. Vote. Vote for positions. Vote people into positions that understand how precious life is. You can also contact local officials. Contact them. Let them know what you think. Let them know the horrors of abortion. Support pro-life groups. Donate. Protest. Speak out. Spread awareness. By doing that, you help spread proper information and show people what abortion really is. And advocate for better sex education. Abortion always involves a pregnancy. One of the best ways to avoid an unwanted pregnancy is to be educated in the first place. People need to know, how do you become pregnant? What are the odds? When are you most likely to become pregnant? These are all important things that people need to know in order to avoid being put in a difficult situation where you might be considering an abortion. In conclusion, abortion is an intrinsically unethical process because it takes the life of an innocent human being that will eventually grow up to be just like you and me. If abortion keeps happening, more and more lives are lost, and it becomes so much easier to justify taking them. That is not important. That is not how we want the world to end. We do not want importance to be placed on one person over the other. People need to understand that babies deserve life as well, and that they matter. All it takes for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. Don't do nothing. Thank you.